I used to bunch carrots, hose them off one by one, and sell them with the tops on. And that worked until I realized how much time and money I was wasting. Now I do things a little differently. I built a simple automatic root washer that can clean hundreds of pounds in minutes, and I completely changed how I wash, store, and sell carrots. In this video, I'll show you exactly how I built it, how I can store carrots for months without any packaging, and one trick that keeps root veggies looking fresh even 90 days after harvest. I'll also share some of my favorite marketing techniques that help me sell every single carrot for top dollar. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Chef's Harvest Farm. If you're new here, I'm Chef Mikey. I'm a former executive chef turned urban farmer. Carrots are actually one of my most profitable crops. I can sell them for $6 to $7 a pound depending on the sales outlet. But like most market gardeners, I used to pull them out of the ground, line them up neatly, bunch them with rubber bands, and spend all day spraying them off with a hose. And sure, they look great on a farmer's market table. People love a big pile of bunched carrots. But here's the problem. It took me all day just to bunch and clean 100 bunches. Then I had to go stand at a farmer's market all day to sell them. And when you actually do the math, it's hard to say if I was really making much money. And what's worse, if it rains and the market sales are slow, those carrots don't sell, now you gotta take them back, remove all the tops anyways, re-wash them, and find space to store them. That's days of work for a single harvest. Now, we wash hundreds of pounds per hour. We remove the tops, store them clean in crates, and the only time we touch them again is to pack orders. This is where I started thinking like a grocery store. I learned something from Ben Hartman's course, the Lean Micro Farm Masterclass, that totally changed the way I work. In grocery stores, employees are only allowed to touch the product twice. Once to remove it from the back room, and once to stock the shelf. If they have to touch it again, the store is losing money. And that rule applies on my farm too. If you're handling produce over and over again, I'm not making any money. And most of what I'm about to show you, I had to learn the hard way. That's why I built this automatic root washer. So in the next part of this video, I'll show you exactly how I built it, and how this one tool completely changed how we harvest, wash, and store carrots and all other root vegetables on our farm. I'll leave links in the description for all the materials I purchased to build this root washer. First, I purchased a 4 cubic foot cobalt cement mixer, and I assembled it per the instructions. So these are 3/4 inch slip fittings, and this is a 1/2 inch threaded fitting. And then I found these like high pressure nozzles that are 1/2 inch, so I'm just gonna screw them right in here, and we'll see how it works. So I'm gonna put plumber's tape on them to make sure it's a watertight seal. Alright y'all, so this is kind of what I've come up with. I've just kind of been figuring it out as I go, right? It's like super hard to like plan something like this. I got my nozzles kind of lined up. This, I just like put a flush valve on the end so I can flush the whole thing out if I want to, if it ever gets clogged or something for some reason. And then I just installed my spray nozzles into the tees, and then I just cut little pieces a few inches. I really didn't measure it or nothing. I just kind of eyeballed everything. So I got my 3 spray nozzles that go across, and then it just kind of elbows. And then this is just like a hose adapter so that I can just screw a garden hose right into this, so it can be relatively portable, and all we got to do is like drag a garden hose out to it and plug it in. And I do have like another valve here so that we can turn control the water off and on right here. I'll kind of show you what I'm working with here before we glue it together and see if I'm happy with it. But I think I am, or we're at least getting close. So come on, let's see how this fits in there. So I can adjust it a little bit. So I think something about like this is gonna be good. Okay, so I guess at some point I just gotta say, okay, it's gonna be good enough, and go for it. So I'm gonna try to keep it all like this and go glue it all together. So come on, let's go into the workbench and see if we can get this glued together. I remembered like last time I did something like this in the house, it stunk for like 3 days. So I just came out here to do it. So I cleaned off my surface a little bit. I'm gonna pull it all apart. And I've got this like really fine sandpaper, 1500 grit, and I'm just gonna like smooth off all the connections where I cut them with a saw, you know? I'm gonna wipe them all out with this before I put the primer on, and then we'll cement them all together. So I labeled everything, I just numbered them all so that I can pull it all apart, clean my connections, and then I'll know how it goes back together. All right, y'all, so I gotta put back together like based off the numbers. That went pretty good. I mean, I'm definitely not a plumber. I had done projects like this like a few times before, and I learn a little bit more every time. I'm just gonna let it dry like this, and then tomorrow or the next day we'll come back and we'll see if we can install it onto the cement mixer. Okay, so I can control it from my phone, see what happens. I went to Home Depot the other day, and I picked up these little scrub brushes. So I don't know, I'm just gonna like see if I can kind of like drill these. I think like I've got some self-tapping screws, so I think I'm just gonna like see if I can put this in here and put self-tapping screws right through and attach like a couple of these scrub brushes in there just to kind of like agitate the carrots and the root vegetables as they go around. And this will like they'll hit this and have to roll over it, which as it spins is gonna make the carrots go like this and flop back down onto the other one. So I'm gonna install 2 of these separated like by a couple feet, like maybe one here and one over here, so that the carrots constantly get stuck on it and get a little bit abrasive on them. Otherwise, I think that they would just keep rotating and the carrots would just stay in the bottoms. Almost lays flat in here. I'll try to show you the best I can. So these are just like extra self-tapping screws. They're kind of like the big fat ones, and they send you this and it's magnetic. So I'm just gonna put this in my drill, and I'm gonna see if I can just drill right through the cement mixer into the brushes to fasten those things on. I don't see why it's gonna be an issue. These are made from metal. So I need it to drain, so I'm just gonna drill like a few holes in the bottom of it. I'm gonna do less rather than more. I can add more holes later, but it'd be really hard to plug them if it drains too much, because I want some water to stay in here, but at the same time I need all the dirt and the dirty water to drain out, so it's constantly spraying and recycling cleaner water in there. Okay, so I've got my spray arm that I designed, and it's just like held on there with zip ties right now. I'm gonna see if I can just tighten it down real hard with these. I got 4 of them, so I'm just gonna put like 4 of them on here and see if that'll hold it in place a little bit better than these zip ties. I was thinking it would, like I'd be able to just kind of squeeze them like that and hold it together. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, cool. So that's like way better. It's like way sturdier. I'm not gonna knock those off. I just put 2 of them, and that way it's gonna be super easy. We can take this off anytime we want, no big deal. All you need is a screwdriver, 2 screws, and this thing come right off if we need to like clean it or use it for something else. So that's gonna work pretty good, I think. We're looking solid. Let's try this thing out. We'll hook it up to some electricity and water, see what happens. So I hooked this up with a hose connection, so anybody can take any hose anytime and just screw this right on there. And then I put a valve right here so that you could turn the water off or on if you wanted to. So I didn't think it through like super good yet as far as like where my water hookups and electrical hookups are gonna be. I'm gonna make some adjustments and we'll try again in a minute. So it's like it hits my self-tapping screw on the wheel when it spins around. That's why it's doing that. So I'm just gonna move it. So I just moved those screws and everything's working. a lot smoother now, so I'm gonna go turn the water on and we'll see what happens. So it works. I mean, I'm super happy with that so far. A couple little tweaks, like I'm a little bit concerned about the motor getting wet. So I might just like see if I can find like a piece of sheet plastic or something to just kind of put over it and protect it so water doesn't drip on it. If I put it at an angle, then the water will just kind of drip off it and it'll kind of like protect it a little bit. I think it's okay. You know, I mean, it's not like I'm dunking it underwater, but it's definitely not good that it gets a little bit wet. So I'm gonna put some thought into that, figure it out. But either way, we're gonna wash some carrots in a couple days. So I'll see you guys in a couple days and we'll see how this thing actually works in action. So we did like a little test run with it yesterday, and we found that like that it cleaned them better if we could like flatten this out a little bit. Because when it's like this, all the carrots just like fell to the back. So for now, we're just gonna prop it up on these cinder blocks, and I mean, I guess that it works honestly pretty good. So maybe someday if I can figure out a better way to kind of prop this up and keep it a little bit more level, we might try to make some adjustments in that regard. But otherwise, I think this is gonna work just fine for now. Until I can figure something else out, or maybe I never will. I think it just works fine. So this is how we're kind of mitigating that little design flaw. And then so we've got these crates and they've got like holes in the bottom, you know. So we're just gonna like dump it, set this right on the cinder block, and then when we dump it into this, all the water will fall through, and then we'll take the carrots and just dump them into our clean totes for storage. So a few days later, we brought the root washer over to the lease property where we're growing about a 1/4 acre of root vegetables. It's mostly carrots, beets, and a few different types of radishes. We're just harvesting everything, removing all the tops, and storing them directly in crates. Now I'm able to sell several hundred pounds worth of root vegetables every single week without wasting time on bunching, washing by hand, or double handling the product. And instead of harvesting and bunching every week for the farmer's market, we just harvested and washed hundreds of pounds of carrots and purple radishes in 1 hour and 20 minutes. We literally backed the truck into the garden, loaded everything up, then backed the truck right into the root washer, and that's it. Now we've got several weeks worth of sales already washed, packed, and ready to go. We're not going to be out here harvesting carrots again next week or the week after. That work is done. We did several weeks worth of harvesting and washing in just over an hour. And look, I get it. Bunched root veggies definitely look nicer at the market. They sell better that way, no doubt. My friend Paul from Mountain Roots Farm had a beautiful display of bunched carrots 2 booths down from us at the market last week. I asked how long it took. His wife rolled her eyes at me and said it took all day just to bunch 120 bunches of carrots, and that didn't include the other root veggies they were bunching. Meanwhile, at our booth, we just pulled out a scale, weighed out loose carrots into berry containers, and sold them for the exact same price as their bunches. We still used the pile it high and watch it fly approach, but we didn't spend days prepping our display. Now here's the kicker. We both sold about the same amount of carrots that day, but who actually made more money? They spent days harvesting and bunching for one market. We spent 1 hour and 20 minutes prepping for multiple markets and restaurant orders. Our root vegetables are already stored in the refrigerated trailer, so next week, all I gotta do is hook up the trailer and roll out. Now here's a little trick that can help you store just about any root vegetable, carrots, radishes, beets, and even celery for months. If you notice your roots getting soft or losing their crunch, just submerge them in water and store them in the fridge for 24 hours. They'll absorb all that water, making them nice and crisp again as if they were just harvested. Plus, we sell everything by the pound, so I want my root veggies nice and crisp, filled with water, so not only are they nice and crisp for my customers, but they also weigh more, maximizing my profits. After that, drain off the water, toss the veggies back into a tote, and leave them soaking wet. But ideally, use a container with drainage. The goal is to store them at 100% humidity, but without sitting in standing water. I use totes that have holes in the bottom to let the excess moisture drain out. But the best containers I've found are these commercial food storage bins with built-in drain pans. They basically mimic the crisper drawer in your fridge, letting everything stay super humid but not soggy. Using these methods, I can harvest weeks or even months worth of root vegetables and keep them in storage until we're ready to sell. We don't plant weekly and harvest weekly anymore. We do all the work at once, store it properly, and that's how we maximize profitability on a small farm.